What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my thoughts on the recent announcement of next season's VGC 2018 rules, how I feel about them, and just generally going over my thoughts on everything. Because I figured you guys are interested in what I have to say about this thing, so I figured I'd make a whole video talking about it. Next season's rules are going to be up on this little thing you guys can see on the screen here. It's going to be using Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, so you're going to have to buy a new game and you're gonna have to beat it again, and that kind of sucks, but I mean, if you guys like the story, that's pretty cool. Brief summary of the new regulations. All battles are obviously gonna be double battles. Almost Pokemon must have the Alola symbol showing they were caught in the Alola region, specifically Ultra Sun and Moon. I think it's gonna have to have its own special symbol, so we'll get to that eventually. Mythical Pokemon and some legendary Pokemon like Ash Greninja are not allowed. So hopefully this means we're not going to be able to use like Landorus, Cresselia. Obviously it means we're not going to be able to use things like Rayquaza and Mewtwo and the Primals. I think that's really good. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. Duplicate Pokemon are not allowed. So you can't just run 6 Kingdras, as much as you want to. You can't run 6 Kingdras. All items are allowed, but duplicate items are not allowed. So you can't run 6 Sashes. Everything's set to level 50. I think that's fine. And then player timer is 5 minutes. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain that the timer being 5 minutes is too low. I don't think that's too low. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. If you're playing a game to go to time in the first place, I think that you're a part of the problem. I think you're a part of the problem. I think 5 minutes is a little bit severe. 6 would have probably been perfect. I think 6 or 7 would have been perfect, because 6 is there for the players that just need a little bit more time to guarantee that their moves are correct. It's not generally people that are timer stalling. I think 6 is definitely a good number. I've only had a few number of my games even go past 5 minutes, unless my opponent was trying to timer stall me, for the most part. So I think that a 5-minute player timer, it makes people think on their feet a little bit more, it pushes the game in the right direction, and it's going to help at regionals for TOs, to where, like, there's certain players that go to time almost every single game because they take so long to play for their moves, to make sure that's the correct move, and hopefully this stops some of that. I guess I really didn't have a problem with the timer before, so player timer being 5 minutes, not that big a deal. The next thing we're going to look at, though, is some of the legal mons, and I want to talk about that. So you can see this is going to be battle spot doubles. This is this season's battle spot doubles, and obviously, like I said, some of these mons aren't going to be legal, but you're going to be able to use like Landorus. Sorry, you're not, hopefully not going to be able to use stuff like Landorus, like Cresselia, like Heatran, like Zapdos. Hopefully these mons aren't allowed, and I think it's going to definitely greatly impact our metagame. And one thing I do want to talk about that I don't think I even talked about yet, Megas are back. What do you guys think about Megas? Now, personally, I think Megas are terrible and they're not competitive. When you compare Megas and Z-moves in the same format, games are over in 2 turns unless you're just playing extremely defensive. But remember, if you're playing extremely defensive, there's that timer being 5 minutes to bite you in the butt. So it's kind of hard to say what the meta is going to be. I really do think the meta is going to get figured out somewhere around January. And then it's not going to be like Big Six or Chalk from then on. But it's going to be something that's so oppressive because there are so many options that it's not going to be possible to run stuff like Butterfree or Absol. There's going to be no way to run cool tech like that because there's just going to be teams that are so solid that if you don't respect every option that your opponent could have from the standard maybe first 3 best teams, it's just going to be really oppressive and not as much fun to play. So let's do an example. So we're seeing these are all mons that are used in the battle spot doubles format. Let's see, there's Pelipper, right? So Pelipper is a new rain setter. For rain, which you see Ludicolo right here, is going to be one of the major teams. So let's just go down an example team. This is not something that's going to be the best team, but this is an example. So we got Politoed, Pelipper. We got both the rain setters. We're going to use both those in the same team. Politoed, Pelipper, Ludicolo, Kingdra, and Mega Swampert, and then the last mon could be literally anything. I'm going to put Tapu Koko right there so you can have your Tapu control. So you have double weather control, Tapu control, and then 3 Swift Swimmers. So how do you beat that? How do you beat that if you're going with like a straight up like standard team? So let's talk about Charizard's matchup with that Sun. So we got Charizard Y and Sun. You can go Charizard Y, Venusaur, and then maybe some other standard mons, maybe a Tapu, and then a couple other things. But if you only have 1 setter, you can't beat the team with 2 setters. And even if you do manage to beat the team with 2 setters, how is your fire team really going to deal with 3 Pokemon that can just one-shot your Charizard, potentially even in the Sun? I think teams like that, and it's generally just me looking at the team just from mons that I know that are in the format, one of the things that beat, like, one of the things that stopped you from going, obviously, the triple rain death team was like hard trick room. And it's going to be a lot harder to use hard trick room now that you can't use Cresselia as your setter. So how do you beat that rain team? Obviously, you guys can come up with answers. If you guys have answers, leave those in the comments below. But just generally thinking about that team, double rain setter, 3 swift swimmers, and a Tapu Koko. I think that's really oppressive. I think that obviously if that's what you're gonna run, I can't use a Mega Absol against that, and I can't use a lot of stuff against that. There's a lot of things that I like Mega Sableye probably doesn't work against that either, and those are cool things that I like that just can't be used just because teams like that are so strong, and that's a good example of just this format being too crazy. The format's so crazy that I feel that there are too many options. And I know it feels like I'm rambling, but these are just my thoughts. There's so many options that someone's going to figure out a team that is just good against everything. And it's going to have like a 50 or 60, maybe not even 50, but like 60 to 70% win rate versus all the other teams. And then it's just going to be able to absolutely destroy someone that isn't playing standard. And so everyone's going to run that. And it's just going to... it's not going to be any fun. It's just going to be back to like speed ties, or I just can't see it being fun. So one thing I want to look at next is going to be like just general Pokemon. You guys can see I have a Tyranitar here. We're going to be looking at a sand team. This is just an example of a sand team. I just threw this together. I played a couple games on BattleSpot. It seems to work. So we have Tyranitar, Excadrill, Mega Salamence, Aegislash, Mandibuzz, and Lele. This is probably going to be a general default way of playing sand. You have your Tailwind setters. Mandibuzz is still pretty good, I think, even in that type of format. Mandibuzz is pretty good, but you have Tyranitar. You can go Rocky MZ or Tyranitar, Mega Tyranitar, I guess. But see, a team like this, which would have been good in like past formats with sand, I don't think this one can even think about touching that rain team because there's just potential for too many setters. And even if they don't have rain up, Swampert kind of just gives you the D, and it's just, I feel that teams like that are so oppressive, because like, alright, at the first start, so format's going to go live in January, so alright, it's the first regional, why wouldn't you just run rain? Like, you got any reason? And the thing is, if rain becomes really good, and it's better than all the other weathers, that means that other teams are going to start having to run prankster sunny day users like Whimsicott or Sableye, or, they're going to have to run multiple other forms of weather to beat rain because rain's so oppressive. And the thing is, I don't think teams should have to do that. I don't think you should have to have a prankster sunny day loser so you don't lose to a team. I think that's... because then what happens if at the next regional no one runs rain but you have a Pokemon just made to beat rain? I think that shouldn't have to be a thing. I think you should just run general Mons and have things that can work against everything. You shouldn't have to run stuff dedicated just to beat a certain team. I think that's unhealthy for the metagame overall, because then you get into situations where, in past formats, versus like Smeargle in VGC 2016, where you're like, well, is Smeargle going to be sashed? Is it Scarf Dark Void? You had to respect... there's also like the mental herb aspect on the Smeargle. So you had to run like 4 answers just for Smeargle. Like they were little answers. You had to tech a Lumberry, or maybe even a Lumberry and a Chesto Berry, or like a Scarf to be able to outspeed Scarf Smeargle, or multiple taunt users to double taunt if it is a mental herb. So you had to start teching in those little things, and you were forced to do it because Big Six was so popular and every team had a Smeargle and you didn't know what item it had. So little things like that I don't think are good for the game, and that's just my personal thoughts. Like if we go back to this list here, we see where is it? So Landorus, hopefully genies aren't legal. I think that they're a little bit too oppressive as well. But like Tapus are completely balanced. I think we've loved them all throughout VGC 2017. They're a great addition to the metagame. They're not too oppressive. You don't need to expend too many resources to check them. I think they have great stats, and they're definitely balanced. I think depending on what move tutors, like if you were to give Coco and Bulu Play Rough as a move tutor move, that could be bad. Also, move tutor moves, I haven't even talked about those. Move tutor moves, we're going to be getting those in this new gen. We don't know what they are, but I think if they continue to balance the game, like I know that they are trying to make the game as a little bit competitive. I saw that they nerfed Mega Kangaskhan and a couple other things got tweaked. If they take away certain move tutor moves, like if they don't give anything play rough, if they don't put in Icy Wind or Tailwind, the meta might not be as oppressive because there aren't as many options. But stuff like Lele is good, Kangaskhan's still going to be really good, Charizard T-Tar going to be really good, Aegislash is going to be in every single team. Why wouldn't you run Aegislash? It has wide guard. It can rock its own Z move and one-shot everything. I think Aegisplash is definitely going to be the most used Mon once the format happens. Mega Salabant's really good, only if it gets Hyper Voice through Move Tutor, I think, and as well as Tailwind. It's definitely a Pokemon that's reliant on Move Tutors. Metagross is also going to be really good. I haven't even talked about the fact that they've changed the way that Mega Evolution works and the way it calculates speed at the beginning of the turn. So let's use a Pelipper or a Politoed and Mega Swampert as an example. So if I have my Rain Setter and Rain's active, and if I wanted to Mega Evolve with Swampert, I would have had to protect and wait a turn to get my Swift Swim to activate. But now the way they changed it is if I Mega Evolve, and when I Mega Evolve, it checks for Rain, and if Rain's there, I get my speed boost immediately. Also, all Megas have had, that little slight adjustment in being, if you Mega Evolve, you just get your speed right when you Mega Evolve. So it makes things like Metagross, like Lucario, and other Megas that were somewhat reliant on getting the speed boost a little bit more competitive. So I think that is, I think Megas overall are dumb, but I think that's a welcome change because it makes the game a lot more easier and user-friendly for everyone. Because people would complain before, they're like, I thought my base speed was this when I Mega'd. What do you mean I have to protect the first turn? It's something that's hard to explain to newer players, so I think it's definitely a step in the right direction if you're going to have Megas in your format. So I really don't have that much else to say about it. I'm not too excited for this format because it's going to be really hard to use a lot of the cool tech mons that I like to use. And it's just going to probably be figured out by the start of the year when the format launches. So those are my thoughts on the format. Leave your thoughts on the format in the comments below. I love hearing what you guys have to say, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.